Okay, so hi viewers, we are the group 10 and our topic is all about the overview of biochemical energy production. So our main goal is for you to know the four general stages in biochemical energy production. So the energy to keep the human body going is obtained from ingested food through a multi-step processes that involves several different catabolic pathways, and there are four general stages in the biochemical energy production process. Stage 1 is the digestion. Stage 2 is the acetyl group formation, and stage 3 is the citric acid cycle, and lastly is the electron transport chain oxidative phosphorylation. So stage 1, digestion. It begins in the mouth. So as we all know, our mouth contains amylase, or also known as saliva. So saliva contains starch digesting enzymes. That is why it can hydrolyze the food and break down it into smaller pieces. It continues in the stomach, which has gastric juices that dissolves or break down the food furthermore, and it is completed in the small intestine. So the complete majority of digestive enzymes and bile salts are located to further digest the food. The end products are glucose and monosaccharides, amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerol. These end products here are small enough to pass across the intestinal membrane and into the blood. So once in the blood, they are then distributed to the cells in various parts of the body with the aid of the membrane transport systems. So, note that metabolic processes are intracellular because digestion is not considered as part of the metabolism, and because it is an extracellular process.
The next stage will be the acetyl group formation. Acetyl group formation, or it is represented by chemical formula CH3 or CO. Acetyl is produced by the breakdown of pyruvate, a derivative of carbohydrate. When pyruvate breaks down, it produces small bounded carbon molecules. When they react with CoA, the combined molecule becomes acetyl CoA. What do you mean by acetyl CoA? Its main function is to deliver the acetyl group to the citric acid or Krebs cycle to be oxidized for energy production or coenzymes. Acetyl group formation, acetyl group formation occurs in cytosol and mitochondria. Small molecules from digestion are further oxidized during this stage. Primary production is 2-carbon acetyl unit and the reduced enzyme NADH, or the main NADH or stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, or NAD plus hydrogen, or H. This chemical occurs naturally in the body and plays a role in the chemical process that generates energy. This NADH people use supplements as medicine.
Stage 3 is to be discussed by Group 2, but I will give just an outline about the topic. citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle takes place in the matrix. The citric acid cycle begins when acetyl CoA or acetyl coenzyme A binds with four carbon molecules called OAA or oxalicetate. This produces citric acid, which has six carbon atoms. This is why the Krebs cycle is also called the citric acid cycle. After citric acid forms, it goes through a series of reactions that release energy. This energy is captured in molecules of ATP and electron carriers. Krebs cycle has two energy carrying electron carriers, which is the NADH plus DH plus or the nicotine adenine dinucleotide and FAD, which stands for FAD, yes. The transfer of electrons to FAD during the Krebs cycle produces molecules of FADH, DH2 or the reduced flavin adenine dinucleotide. The transfer of electrons to FAD during the Krebs cycle produces a molecule of FADH2. Carbon dioxide is also released as a waste product. Carbon dioxide is also released as a waste product of this reaction. The process of oxidative phosphorylation occurs at the inner mitochondrial membrane, and it consumes oxygen, phosphorylates ADP to form ATP molecules. And finally, this ATP is then used to power various molecular reactions throughout the body, which creates heat. ATP hydrolysis is an exergonic process where the phosphate bonds are broken to release energy in the form of heat. And that's all.
The stage 4 is electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. So this stage occurs inside the mitochondria. So it reduces for nicotinamide adding the nucleotide and from being adenine dinucleotide supply the fuel needed. So when I say fuel, these are the hydrogen ions and electrons that is needed for production of ATP molecules. So here the oxygen gas that is being inhaled by a breathing process is converted to water in this stage. So we can define the common metabolic pathways as the sum total of the biochemical reaction of the citric acid cycle, electron transport chain, and oxidative phosphorylation. So NADH and FADH2 are oxidized to release each hydrogen ions and electrons. So the role of NADH and FADH2 is to donate electrons to the electron transport chain. They both donate electrons to providing an hydrogen molecule to the oxygen molecule to create water during the electron transport chain. So the NADH is a product of both the glycolysis and Krebs cycle, which is the citric acid cycle, and the FADH is only produced in a Krebs cycle. So NADH is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and the FADH2 is the flavin adenine dinucleotide. and the hydrogen are transported to the intermembrane space in the mitochondria. The electrons are transferred to the oxygen and it's reduced to water. So the hydrogen ions re-enter the mitochondrial matrix and drive the ATP synthase reaction to produce ATP. So ATP is the like primary energy carrier in the metabolic pathways. So the reaction in the stage 3 and stage 4 are common to the processing of the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So collectively known as a common metabolic pathways. So the sum of the reaction that occurs in the citric acid cycle, the electrons transport chain, and the oxidative phosphorylation. That's all.
Okay, so to sum up everything, as you can see, we have here the ingested food, the fats, carbohydrates, and proteins, and which can be converted into simpler units. And it will undergo the stage 2 or the acetyl group formation, and the products of the acetyl group formation, the acetyl CoA will undergo the citric acid. As you can see, another atong citric acid, dayon, and the reduced form of nicotinamide, adding the nucleotide and flavin adenine, the nucleotide will undergo the electron transport chain, and oxidative phosphorylation to give some ATP and water and oxygen gas as well. So these are the common metabolic pathway, sum total of the biochemical reactions of the citric acid cycle, electron transport chain, and oxidative phosphorylation. Andre.
So, chemical process prior to metabolism. So, first, sa metabolism is the chemical reaction in the body cells that change food into energy. Our bodies need this energy to everything from moving to thinking to growing. Specific proteins in the body control the chemical reaction of metabolism. So, naay do ka process sa prior metabolism. So, first, digestion. Breakdown of food molecules by hydrolysis into simpler chemical units that can be used by cells in metabolic processes. The second is absorption. The process of getting the digested molecules into the bloodstream and ultimately into the cells where metabolism occurs takes place in the small intestine through tiny finger-like projections called villi. Villi, the lines of inner surface. Each villi is richly supplied with a fine network of blood vessels and a central lymph vessel. So, inani mag-work kung sa pag-process sa prior metabolism. So, after na to i-chew or i-swallow ang food, it goes to the stomach. Then after sa digestion, food is broken down into the minuscule nutrients in the stomach. Since absorption, the nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream from the small intestine. So after sa digestion of absorption, after the nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream and travel to all cells of the body, metabolism occurs.
And thank you for listening. Again, we are the Group 10.